Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Leeds Link Forum for Coalition. Our forum suggests checks and balances should be made on those in responsible government positions. What can we, you or I do about this? Certainly we must do something, for the whole country is in a state of free fall, with no visible direction to follow. So now we look again at Brexit Bedlam5. Now at last Mrs May has moved aside and someone else is to guide us as we prepare to leave the EU. Of course we don't want to leave Europe, for we are part of Europe, but we must leave the completely undemocratic EU. It controls our laws and has already ruined our industries, our country. And we will leave by the 31st October, says Johnson Boris. Already we have the government hustings among the 10 or less who see themselves fit to be our Prime Minister. These seem to be a motley crew led by Johnson. So in the running for Prime Minister we have had Boris, Jeremy Hunt, Michael Gove, Dominic Raab, Sajid David and Rory Stewart. This list now reduces to 2 as time moves on. Now Boris, in his time as Foreign Secretary, made mistakes in Iran, with some loose talk about Nazin Zaghari Ratcliffe, who was simply on a holiday. Now she's been jailed in Tehran since April 2016. Then Foreign Secretary Boris suggested Nazarine was training journalists to operate in Iran. This led to her being accused of attempting to orchestrate a soft overthrow of the Islamic Republic. And since then she has been held in Evin prison in Tehran and separated from her daughter Gabriella, just 4 years old. This little girl now stays with her grandparents in Syria, and Nazarine is also separated from her husband Mr Ratcliffe. It seems strange to see someone who has brought such calamity to this family's life to be considered as a candidate for the Prime Minister. What is the world coming to? To change the subject a little, in our forum's earlier work on YouTube we spoke about does Brexit give responsive Westminster? And here we used question time to illustrate the way that questions put by the audience were often not allowed to be fully answered, even though they were very meaningful. One young lady said we knew well that the government's manifestos would often not be followed and soon be forgotten as we move through any government's term of office. I suggested the questions and answers of this programme be submitted to Parliament so that Westminster might be able to get insight into the thoughts of the populace and so begin to respond better to what people really needed, really wanted. Interestingly now, we have a new style question time under the control of Fiona Bruce and of course the BBC. We come to the point where Fiona asked the question of the audience in one of her programmes, who thinks Boris Johnson would be a good Prime Minister? Of maybe 300 people, one person put up their hand. So it again seems obvious, as in the question time mentioned above and just following the referendum, the opinion of the UK people is taken little notice of. Our government is indeed a separate entity, and it doesn't respond very much at all to what Middle England asks for. So here we are now, immersed in our Brexit bedlam, and here is the chance to escape and alter things up, not only for ourselves, but also for our European neighbours. We can point the way for the old Euro project to end and begin a new European project with established countries being reinstated. No longer must we allow the one currency, the euro, to divide the 23 European countries and drive them into further austerity. Here is the chance to have their own currencies back and the realignment so gained from their own currencies. That will give the chance for ordinary folk to trade happily together and have a much better chance to work their way out of the EU's imposed austerity. The taking away of people's currencies took away their natural lives, and this imposition has been imposed on them now for nearly 20 years. They in the EU indeed know not what they do. Or do they even care about the problems they cause for the people they govern, or bully into submission? Do they really care? In any country, checks and balances are vital as governments make their own better rules. Rules should work at all levels for rich and poor. An impossible dream, you may say, but let us all dream and work hard so that on moving into a new age, new chances are found for many to better themselves. Also, we in LLFFC, Leeds Link Forum for Coalition, we feel that there can be no such thing as a disorganised Brexit. The need for trade will never allow this to happen, and a little time and good sense will see us through into many new opportunities. Thanks for watching this. Subscribe to our channel, please, and we'll get back as soon as we have more very interesting details to comment on. Thanks for that.